What is up, Packers fans, and welcome back to another edition of the Daily Draft, brought to you by the good folks right here at Badger State Brewing, located just minutes away from beautiful Lambeau Field in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Today, we are breaking down Green Bay's second foray into the offensive line position in round 5. That would be Duke interior offensive lineman Jacob Monk. Now, Monk is interesting in that he is a versatile guy. We've talked a lot about how left-sided the Packers offensive linemen are. What do I mean by left-sided, in case you didn't catch any of those videos? Well, what I mean by that is Jordan Morgan is a natural left tackle. He played 4 years of left tackle at Arizona. Rasheed Walker played left tackle at Penn State and plays left tackle in Green Bay now. Zach Tom is a college left tackle, played a little center, but has sort of settled in a little bit on the right-hand side. Sean Ryan was a college left tackle that they're trying to, play at right guard. Elton Jenkins' most comfortable position right now is left guard. It's another left side of the line situation. So you go through all the Packers' top options. Andre Dillard doesn't like to play anywhere on the right side, sees himself as a left tackle who could play left guard in a pinch. Very few right-handed fellas in this group, and Jacob Monk isn't that. Jacob Monk, I think most people, and we'll get right to the measurables here in a second, but I do want to talk about some snap versatility just so I can pull up the actual numbers here. Jacob Monk is a center prospect, and we're gonna talk about the numbers here. But with that said, he had 336 snaps this last year at center and 351 snaps this last year at right guard. In 2022, Monk played again, like a 2-to-1 ratio, even closer to 2.5-to-1 ratio of right guard as opposed to center. So a lot of his snaps, are really like leaning towards that right guard position. Now you might say, well, right guard, shoot, that's where Green Bay has an opening. Okay, I understand what you're saying there, but what I'm telling you, also, I think there's something to putting your best offensive linemen on opposite sides of the line. And then some teams disagree. Like some teams rather if they have a really good guard and really good tackle, put them both on the left side. The Packers tried that with Sitton and Bulaga before Bulaga blew his knee out. I think that was sort of part of the plan. But with that said, the Duke Blue Devils had Graham Barton playing left tackle. So having Monk inside playing center and right guard, if those are your two best linemen, I think that had a chance to make sense. Now, why do I think Monk is a center? Why did the NFL probably think that Monk is a center? Well, because he's 6'3" flat, meaning that he has 36th percentile height for a center. He becomes oddly short if you're going to put him at guard. 308 pounds. Everything else is decidedly above average, especially if we're talking for a center, which means probably average to below average for a guard. That'd be 68th percentile wingspan, 38th percentile arm length is not great, but 62nd percentile hand size. And then you get into some of the, things that the Packers care about. Usually broad jump being one of those. Green Bay loves broad jump. Monk has an 85th percentile broad jump, actually closer to an 86th percentile broad jump. That's big for them. Ran well with a good 1.74 second 10-yard split. That's important for them. That shows explosiveness. And that's the kind of thing that really does show up on film. But as I mentioned, short arms, even for a center, 6'3" flat, even at 308, I don't know if that's a guard. I don't know if that's a guard at the next level. Now, we talked a lot about when we're discussing defensive backs. We talked plenty about theoretical versatility versus actual versatility. Monk has actual versatility. Hundreds of college snaps at more than one position. And as I said, kind of a key to what the Packers have going on, hundreds of snaps at a position on the right-hand side of the offensive line. Now, left tackle's the premier position in college. There are plenty of NFL right tackles that are doing a great job that were college left tackles. I would guess that there's some starting right guards in the NFL that were college left tackles. It is not an impossible thing to ask. Okay, a lot of the better players in college do play on the left-hand side of the line. With that said, though, it is nice to have someone who has some familiarity with the right-handed side of the line in case you want to install him right away as the backup center and the backup right guard. You want to work Dillard at left guard. You want to work Jordan Morgan at left guard. You want to do some of those things where you're being a little bit more flexible. Jacob Monk's experience not being one of those normal collegiate, okay, he's our best guy, let's put him at left tackle. That's helpful. As far as the pick, we didn't do a ton. I liked Monk fine. I was higher on him than consensus by a little bit, but consensus I don't think was quite to where Green Bay took him. There were a number I know of centers that I would have taken in front of Monk that were still available. Guys that I had, a higher grade than that on. I think Bo Limmer was still available. I was super high on not super high on Bo Limmer, higher than that. I think Drake Nugent might have still been available. I was pretty high on Drake. Jalen Sundell was a very Packers type from North Dakota State. I would have taken Jalen Sundell ahead of Jacob Monk, but that's kind of ifs and buts and candies and nuts like that. That's not who they took. And again, maybe they weren't looking for specifically a center. I'm going to contradict myself though on that statement. Now that we look ahead towards fit, I think fit looking forward, projecting Jacob Monk's career, I think he makes a ton of sense for this team's future. Now, he's an older guy, and we've talked about this. I've talked about the Packers kind of acting like they were in position to win, like they knew they were pretty good, and they were done taking 21-year-old guys with not done necessarily, but not so focused on taking 21-year-old guys looking for upside. Like this kid played 3,700 snaps over 5 years. And in 2019, he played almost 800 snaps. He played for Duke right away. This kid has tons of experience. So even though I am projecting, which is what I'm projecting when we're talking about fit, a redshirt year, basically they have Josh Myers. And look, if Josh Myers goes and plays lights out, plays really, really good at the center position, I think there's a chance for a second contract. Centers aren't making that much money. Myers, I think you go to the negotiating table with him, you can kind of point to the first 3 years of his career. If he has a really good fourth year and say, hey, I don't know that we're going to pay you at the top of the market, but we'd like to keep you around, especially if Jordan Love likes him. That's an important bond. Everybody talks about Frankie Winters and Favre. Like that's an important thing. So if Love likes Myers and he plays really well in year 4, like there's a chance that he's a Packer next year. But I think if you're a betting man, if you had a gun to my head and said, is Josh Myers going to be a Green Bay Packer during fall camp or during spring or Jesus criminy, during when fall camp and spring training, during training camp, which is an August summer activity. Sorry, got baseball on the brain, got college football on the brain. If we're talking about training camp in August, in July, will Josh Myers be there in 2025 as a Green Bay Packer? Probably not, I would guess. So, does Jacob Monk, he of 3,700 Power 5 snaps, probably require a redshirt year? No, but I think there's a chance that that's the plan. You go look where they took Scott Wells. You go look at where they took Corey Linsley. Drafting Elton Jenkins, who didn't end up as their center, but drafting Elton Jenkins high and drafting Josh Myers high was kind of new for them. Wells and Linsley were not premium selections at all. And you can see some of the years, where they went with like Evan Dietrich Smith or Lucas Patrick a little bit in those spots too, like premium draft choices on that center spot. It's just not what they've done. Excuse me. So the idea that Green Bay might take a redshirt year for Monk, have him sit behind Myers, provide that right guard center backup situation. Because I think if the left guard goes down or if Jenkins goes down, like Morgan probably can slide in there pretty easily. Or you could even have Monk play center, I guess, and have Myers play left guard. People think his best position in the NFL might actually be guard. I don't know about that, but there are options at left guard. I think the question about, I think Zach Tom as a former left tackle could play left guard really easily. If you felt confident in Jordan Morgan playing right tackle, if you felt confident in Sheed playing right tackle, doing a little bit of musical chairs in that way. Backup at center and right guard, though. Now, again, if everybody's healthy and the only person that gets hurt is Myers, maybe Zach Thomas the backup center in reality. Maybe and then Jordan Morgan playing right tackle, or Sheed playing right tackle and Jordan Morgan moving to left. Or maybe Elton Jenkins is actually the backup center and Elton slides to center and Jordan Morgan plays left guard. There's a bunch of different things you could do if Myers is actually the guy that got hurt. But again, if we're just talking about what's Jacobs Monk's fit in 2024, I think that could be it. Moving forward, I mean, to me, I think they're going to give him every chance to be the starting center for 3 years after Josh Myers. Who knows? Right? They'll rep him at a bunch of spots, but I think with his size, to me, and it's fine, man. Like, I think Corey Linsley was 6'3". I don't think Scott Wells was particularly big either. Myers is really more of a different thing than what they've been doing historically. Myers is bigger than a lot of the centers that they've used. So with his kind of size leading me down the road of, what is he specifically going to do in the NFL? And to me, I'm screaming center, center, center. This guy's not long enough to play guard. Certainly can't help you at tackle. Center, center, center. Well, being a one position guy is not great unless that one position is a starting position. David Bakhtiari is a left tackle only. Okay. And I'm not comparing Jacob Monk to Bach, but what I'm saying is it's a little bit less valuable for Dillard to say I'm left side only when he's not a projected starter. And in fact, if Dillard is starting, something bad probably happened. But for Elton Jenkins to say, yeah, I'd like to just play left guard. Okay, well, you're borderline an all pro, so you can just play left guard then. And if Sheed ever gets to that point, maybe not to like Bakhtiari's level, but if Sheed ever gets to the point where he's just like, yeah, I want to play left tackle. Well, if he's a top 8, 9, 10, 12 left tackle in the league, then who cares if he can't play the right side? But as you move down the depth chart, your ability to play multiple spots on the offensive line without getting the quarterback killed or without screwing up what you're trying to do in the run game, that's more important. Center's kind of like point guard in like college basketball. Yeah, only one guy usually gets to play most of the minutes. That's center. I don't care if my center can move around as long as he can be a good center. I don't care that Myers theoretically has guard flexibility. They've never used him there. So I don't care how flexible Jacob Monk is as long as he can win the center job and do a good job and be a top 15 center in the league, top 16, top 18 center in the league. Because you don't want that guy to struggle, right? You saw like Creed Humphrey. Creed Humphrey's a really good football player. But when he started missing snaps, I mean, that was really problematic for Kansas City. In the same sense, beyond just snapping the football, you start getting forklifted by these interior pass rushers, and you start allowing literally the straightest line. The straightest line. This is no Ross, you're so smart football analysis god stuff. The straightest line of the quarterback is through the center. There's no debate about that. So if your center can't pass pro and your center gets your quarterback killed, that's a huge issue. It is super problematic. So that's what I think the long-term fit is for Jacob Monk and what they saw in that. And that's not that odd. I think people would, from a general drafting standpoint, probably say, boy, if you're really trying to get a starting center to replace Josh Myers, shouldn't you have done something before round 5? Maybe. But again, look at the highly successful Packers teams with Scott Wells as the center. Look at the highly successful Packers teams with Corey Linsley as the center. Some pretty darn successful Packers teams with Evan Dietrich Smith as the center. I'm not saying it's a useless position. I'm saying you can get away with not having to take Creed Humphrey in round 2. You can get away with not having to have Jason Kelsey. You can get good players later, and B, your center just kind of has to not suck, if that makes any sense. He just has to be smart, get guys lined up, understand the protection calls, have a good relationship with his quarterback, snap the ball accurately, and just don't get killed. Now, if they can be a plus in the run game, if they're a great pass protector, all those, like, that can all be gravy. But you just can't have a center who sucks. And I think that could be Jacob Monk, if that isn't the most backhanded compliment I've given all week. Okay, guys, that's enough for today. Here on the Daily Draft, check out everything we're doing over at Packer Report. We're at PackerReport.com. We're at Packer Report 66 on X. I am at Ross Uglum on that very app. Now that the Twitter.com URL is officially dead. Check out everything that you need to do here, right here at the Pack a Day Podcast YouTube feed. Subscribe, click the bell, get the notifications so that you can get all of the Packers content that you require on a daily basis. Have a great rest of your day, guys, and go Pack Go.